to Rooted Cosmic Soul. This is another collective story to offer insight in these beautiful times to the collective. So, an interesting thing occurred with this reading. As you can see, the cards are already laid out. Traditionally, I lay the cards out with you. And for those who need that, I'm pasting that at the end. Where we are now, in this liminal space of neither here nor there, is that I did this story, I channeled this story yesterday. And this is a story I went into this wanting to channel the rose, as in the perennial flowering plant, genus Rosa. And any other divine feminine energy that wanted to join us. When I sat down to step into the actual story, I had already been meditating most of the day. For a few days, I kept hearing the rose, the rose, the rose. And, there's the rose that is the flowering perennial plant, and then there's the rose that is the symbol of the goddess. And for me, they're very much interchangeable, but I wanted to play yesterday, and I wanted to play around with the elemental energy of the actual being, the rose, and that energy from Earth. But when I sat down, I was quickly inundated with an understanding that Venus was like, yo, I want to get in on this. So of course, it's like, absolutely. So I paused and I went and grabbed this, which is the Rose of Venus. The Rose of Venus refers to, and you can see it in here. Let me move this little rose quartz. It's a geometric pattern formed by Venus's orbit around the sun, as seen from Earth over an 8-year period, and it resembles a 5-petaled rose or pentagram. So some folks will call this the rose pentagram. So I grabbed it and I was like, let me add it to the story energy to help bring in Venus's inclusion. So I ended up doing the reading, and then when I went into the editing process, realized that my mic was coming in and out. I mean, so much so I was going to post it anyway because it's a really powerful story, but it was just really too distracting. And so then I thought, okay, well, maybe this is just for me. Maybe this is the way of the universe saying, Deidre, this was not a reading for the collective, this was a reading for you. And I was fine with that. And then I was hanging out with a friend and I realized, I was like, it kept coming back to me, and I was like, oh, maybe this is for her, like based on the story of her story, the plot of her story. I thought maybe this would be helpful to her. And so I shared it, and it really was helpful to her from what she shared back at me. And then I thought that would be it. I woke up this morning and I could not let this go. And I just kept hearing, read it again, read it again, read it again. So I've spent a fair amount of my day outside with nature by Bay Waters that runs out into the Pacific Ocean. And so had some really beautiful moments, some deep channeling with the divine feminine. And even when I got home, I was going to sit again and again, just really got this feeling of like, share this story. So I'm going to go ahead and share the story sort of in a different way than I normally do because I've been sitting with it for so long. But I hope, I trust, not even hope, I trust whoever this is for that it will find them. And if you are here and you, like, as I understood this could help a friend and I shared it, I do ask that you go ahead and share it so that this finds who it wants to find, and that we are doing this in a collective manner. So this story, the grounding plot, is the Temple of the Rose, and this idea of it is a story of then and now, of yesterday, of today, of there and here. We are in a liminal moment right now, on the eve of the partial solar eclipse and the new moon coming in. New moon in Aries is coming in. Venus, Neptune, Pisces energy, they're all having a party right now. So in this moment, it is about the activation of very ancient power, very ancient divine feminine power rising up and being activated. So this story, usually my stories are offering us insight of what we can do to move along our journey, to move along our path. This is a story of acknowledgement of the path folks have been on. Meaning, if you notice, when I pulled the cards, I pulled it in the form of the Venus pentagram. So it's like, here's a petal, here's a petal, here's a petal, here's a petal, here's a petal. And it's a process that everyone's going to have gone through these in different ways. And at the same time, this is a story about that activation has come about because on the journey that you've been on, you did the work. You set to do some healing. You set to step into forgiveness. On that healing side, you fostered physical, emotional, and energetic transformation through going in, through remembering and regarding your power within, especially through the powerful force of forgiveness of oneself, forgiveness of others. And in that journey, in walking that path, in doing what you needed to do to step into the healing, to step into forgiveness, you activated the Temple of the Rose. So in that activation, what that's going to allow folks to do is to really clearly find the truth of their own voice, their own definitions, being able to transmute the limiting beliefs of definitions controlling and impacting our perception of our choices of the world we want to live in up to this point. The journey that this story has taken, the healing and the forgiveness, is what has brought on the ability to transmute those limiting beliefs, to uproot them, to pull them out, and in so doing, creating change, shift. As we do that change and shift, it's opening up the possibility. The story sort of parts because it really depends on why you came here. You know why you came here. And so one of these, quite possibly both, could speak to you, but I'm going to talk about them as two, simply so the message doesn't get too convoluted. As this ancient power is activated, what it's going to offer the story paths to open up is, on one end, it's going to open up an understanding of one's light, of the flame of ancient power that has been activated. And it's going to allow the expression of that in a way of sustained light through Saint Bridget. The beautiful thing about Saint Bridget, Our Lady of Exalted Light, so Saint Bridget comes after Goddess Bridget. And now Goddess Bridget is of Ireland, the eternal flame, the energy of, she holds space when you're going through the healing and the forgiveness journey. She holds space to sort of give you the belief, the understanding, the trust, the faith that you can do it. That the flame never goes out. It's always there for you to draw into. Saint Bridget is the next level, sort of even in our timeline. Saint Bridget comes after Goddess Bridget, but in terms of like that activation of the light, Saint Bridget is like, okay, that flame, I know that flame. I'm very clear that I hold that flame. I'm very clear I have everything that I need to step into my next path. I'm not burdened by limiting beliefs. I'm not burdened by unhealed aspects. I am in conversation with my shadow. remember what in a past reading I was mentioning how healing is not like that these things will never happen again. Healing is that I'm available of my choices in a different way when those things happen. And so with the light, it's like a full knowing. I am my awareness has stepped into a whole new threshold, a whole new paradigm, and is allowing me to step into all that I am meant to step into when I get here. And in particularly with St. Bridget, there's an invoking collectivism that allows that awakened I to transform the perception of the we, which is taking us into this activation, into this whole other path and journey, right? So it's never a destination on our journey. Our journeys never end. Our journeys just shift into the next journey and the next journey, right? And there's little side paths. Think of this moment as it's not a side path. Entering into Bridget's realm and holding that light, that's the next journey. And you're ready. You're ready to invoke that collectivism from an awakened I because you've transformed your perception of what is possible, which is why the other path, possibility, and this one is connected to the offering made here with, this is from the Divine Nature deck oracle, and that oracle offers this, that in the activation you're going to be able to focus. You're going to be able to focus in on what you want, not what is. What you desire to create in the world, not what this current construct, the out of balance power over construct, is telling you is possible. You're now fully focused on what you know is possible, and where attention goes, energy follows. And so being really focusing in on gratitude for what you have, appreciation for what desires are still to come, and staying focused on that. And it's really beautiful. If you look at when I shuffled, you'll see like these all came out. I shuffled these with energy, but it's this space back here, this light, this coloring of like what is helping bring this light. It's just so amazing, this reading. This light here, this light here, can come up through imagining, co-creating with varied perspectives, and tells me that it's not can, since this reading is folks who have done the journey, that you are stepping into the journey is stepping into imagining and co-creating with varied perspectives, right? This is about, it's a number 3, right? So this is about growth. It's about groups, it's about creativity. And so that focus in on what you want, not on what is what this journey is now about. It's about imagining, co-creating from varied perspectives, that which your heart knows is possible. And the mind, right? So the mind is the divine masculine. The divine masculine is in co-creation with the divine feminine coming out of the temple of the rose. Remember, the divine masculine is the servant of the divine feminine, meaning it is the heart who leads the way, right? Let my head be the servant of my heart. And that's what will bring balance and harmony, because the mind will know what to do, that masculine energy, that outward action, the doing action, only after it has gone inward in the being to have an understanding of the varied perspectives, to have an understanding of what are all the impacts and what are all the choices around me, what needs to be healed, what needs to be forgiven, what needs to be grown. And then we move into invoking collectivism. So yeah, it's just really beautiful. Like I've been doing broom closet recordings that just come to me, and like I feel like this is definitely for the group. If the cloak sitting by the door, if either of those videos resonated for you, if Protect the Crone resonated for you, any of the things about self-inquiry and really going in to explore outward, this is likely also your reading. This is likely like you have been activated in this moment of time, whether you can see it with your human physical eyes or not. It might mean, spending a little bit more time in stillness and quiet to connect all of your energy centers so that you're seeing from your third eye, communicating from your throat, moving from heart space, activating your power through the creativity of your sacral womb, and you're grounded and rooted in earth and ancestral energy. And all of this is being flowed through the crown so that you are through the crown, right? Through the crown. It's really interesting too, because there's something, I don't know if you can see it on here, sorry. So there's it gets a little, and these are separate decks. These are not the same decks, but it starts getting a little blue around here. There's a little bit of blue, and look at that blue. Yeah. Venus in the Rose was not playing around with this particular reading. I'm so grateful for it. Okay, so I do want to read this card here. That is from the Rose Oracle deck. Temple of the Rose. Ancient Power, Expression, Activation, Scarlet Codes. For millennia, feminine power, expression, and wisdom has been suppressed. As a result, the feminine has been silenced, dismissed, and disrespected. We've become disconnected from the earth, the mother, and have stopped revering our elders. But times are finally changing, and we're all part of this change. Every time we honor our body, express our wisdom, share our voice, and connect with our sensuality, we heal the sacred thread of the feminine. Every time we call back our power, we heal the sacred thread of the feminine. Every time we come together in circle, we heal the sacred thread of the feminine. Every time we honor our cyclic nature and the cycles of nature, we heal the sacred thread of the feminine. Regardless of which gender you identify with, if any, this is a card of calling back your power. It's a card of expressing your truth no matter what. It's a card of sharing your soul's voice and singing the song that you came here to sing. This is a card of activation. It's a call to action, and it's a remembrance. You're the child of the ancient goddess. As you express yourself, you express for all who could not. As you claim your power, you do so for all those who cannot. Each shackle you break through, you free those who are yet to come. Share your voice, sing your song, dance your dance, reclaim your power. This is what you came here for. Ashe. As I read that cyclic nature, the other thing that when I was meditating this morning about whether or not to redo this reading, one of the things that came to me was also just the activation points. And now mind you, if you've been following any of my readings, I really just have been intuitive about where to lay the cards, what angle they should be at, or that I feel there's no should, where what I feel like they could be placed. Now, yesterday, if you watched the shuffling, this wasn't here yesterday. I had this over here, and I moved it today. And normally, I always put the Divine Feminine card, or the God, Goddesses, Guardian card here, right? Usually right here. But when I was shuffling yesterday, again, I had this feeling of no, it needs to go here, and it also needs to go at an angle. And then same thing when the Divine Nature card came out. And I think part of that is it's thinking about the orbit of Venus and just the process of our journeys, and that they are ongoing, and that there are different entry points, right? There are different entry points to how this journey, how this story could happen, could commence, right? Time is a lie. So although I said, maybe you're doing one, the other, the both, all of that could be true. You could be doing one now, a parallel self could be doing the other later. You could be doing both now. Who knows? Just know that the access points at this point, the power is so great and so open because you've walked the path. You've done the healing, the forgiveness, the transmuting, the invoking, the imagining. You've done it. Slow down enough with this new moon to take a break, to breathe it in, to acknowledge yourself. And as usual, I did pull Archangel cards to kind of see who was sitting with us. And this time 2 came out. And that's also above here. So we've got St. Bridget hanging out here. And then I've got the 2 Archangel cards right here, right behind it. You can't see because it's off camera. But those who showed up was Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, the messenger, brings divine guidance and support in communication and self-expression. But you know that Temple of the Rose is about activating that divine feminine flame, that expression that it has arrived. Well, it's always been there, but is rising, right? That is being activated. And then also Metatron, the scribe, records the deeds of all living beings and brings a deeper understanding of life's purposes. So it's like with that activation, what's happening, that all that healing and forgiveness, transmuting, invoking, and imagining that this story entailed brings a deeper understanding of one's life's purpose, which leads to this activation, this moment right now that we're in a world that is significantly shifting and changing into something that I believe many of us won't even be able to put words or heart to until it shifts and occurs, because it's so beyond regardless of how it pans out. I say that, like, regardless of which timeline the collective chooses, this activation of ancient power is going to happen regardless, but that timeline is still in flux. I think, like, who knows, whatever timeline the collective chooses at this point, whether it is a repeat of past timelines and we go the way of the last few human timelines and things start over, or we choose a different path and we do choose an elevated, shifted paradigm. Either way, you are activated. And trust yourself, trust your purpose, trust your path, that you have a deeper understanding as the eclipse occurs, as this energy shifts, as new planetary realities start really deeply falling upon our psyches, as well as our physical material experiences. So if this resonate, I've been saying this lately because it's just it's so true. If this resonated for you, I'm grateful. It's really inspiring energy. It's really it's hopeful energy. It reminds me that I am not alone. It reminds me that that there is an activation happening, that the things that we are experiencing and expressing and sharing collectively with each other matter. And that our choices available have opened up because we have done the journey work to shift perceptions. So I want to thank you for doing that. And may this new moon and partial solar eclipse and all that comes after, before, under, over, within, without, be all that you desire. I want to say thank you to our higher selves for showing up, our healed ancestors, our spirit guides in the light, guardian angels, archangels. Thank you all. Thank you. Special shout out to the Rose, genus Rosa, and Venus, because Venus was like, yo, how you going to channel the Rose and not let me in the door? Really grateful that you put that cloak on sitting by the door, Venus. Thank you. So I'm so grateful for all the energies that have arrived. My energy is going to stay with me. Your energy is going to stay with you. Unfettered and infinite love and gratitude.